Hi folks, Ben Myers here with
Sarah Condon.
Sarah Condon. We are actually doing one of the reviews for the next episode of, issue of Upstate Brew York magazine. And we have with us one of the Common Sense Ales from Upstate Brewing Company. Now, I've gone and met the actual brewers of this. We met one of the brewers at the Syracuse Beer Fest, or
Brew Fest.
Was it the Craft Beer Fest? Whatever it was sanctioned by the state, and it was really, really well done. But I met Ken Mortensen, who's one of the guys who actually brews this stuff in his brewery, talked to him about it, and we did a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to do that for the magazine coming up, but this is more of a tasting kind of notes, kind of review session here. We've done them before with some of the other ones you've seen. Just go up on the website and that kind of thing, but beautiful black cans that they actually, this is one of the few upstate New York craft beers that is put into cans. I can only think of these guys, actually. I can't think of, have you seen anybody else that does a can?
I haven't.
These guys are one of the few craft brewers in the country that do cans. It's in this beautiful 16-ounce packaging, jet black with the white letters on it. You'll see another one we're going to do in a little bit for their IPW, which is the exact, like the negative of this can, which is it's another beautiful can. The black and white really stand out from all the colors that you kind of see in the beer aisles and that kind of thing. So from a packaging standpoint, it's really cool. As you see behind us is our new apartment on beautiful Skaneateles Lake. No complaints there. We'll leave it at that, but it's an awesome place to be. So as you open this bad boy up, we have our nice Saratoga glasses from the Saratoga Race Course, because we keep it all upstate New York, of course. These come in 16-ounce cans, so you can, basically, if you have a pint glass at home, it's got to fill it right up to the top. And cheers.
Cheers.
Now, you've never had this before, so I would like just to hear your just straight offhand notes of what you think of this beer. What do you think of this beer, Sarah Condon?
It's a dark beer, but it's pretty light. It's pretty easy to drink, and I've only had a sip, but it feels fairly light.
And the reason why we wanted Sarah to be kind of part of this is because, first of all, Sarah's a woman, which is like a big growing part of the craft beer scene is women drinkers. Mm-hmm. So, and she's you're more of a hophead kind of IPA person, which is, I'm actually not. So we're a little bit, gender-wise, a little bit opposite in that regard. But we had a little bit more. What do you think?
Usually with the dark beers, you're expecting a little bit more malt, a little bit of heaviness. It's very light. And there's a little bit of the IPA-ness in there, so it gets me, it's the right notes. Yeah, it definitely has. I had this with one of my buddies last week, too. We got a nice 4-pack from these guys, and it's been outstanding. Just on the back of the cans here, for people who make this kind of stuff at home like us, it's only a 22 IBU beer, but like you're saying, there's a little bit of hop character in there. And on the back of the can, they have Columbus, Cascade, and Willamettes are their hops. And you get that little Columbus kind of feel. There's a little touch of citrus, like a little tiny note, like very, very tiny. But it kind of lets you know it's there. And then that Willamette is kind of more that earthy stuff. But I don't want to say that it's overwhelming. It's very easy drinking. Oh,
very easy drinking. And one of the things that I've noticed about, especially the Upstate brewing guys, and this goes to kind of the can theory a little bit, I could see pints and pints of this at tailgates.
Oh yeah,
you got your Syracuse hat on.
Easily.
If you're going to a college football game, college basketball game, and it's cold because it's December now,
right?
And you can't bring glass, and you can't bring glass to those kind of things. So you bring cans. This is a thing to bring, man. This is good tailgate beer. Now,
warms you up a little bit.
Yeah, and it's got a nice malt. It's got a nice malt to it. The malt is kind of the more, maybe the heavier-ish kind of character, but it's very balanced. Very balanced. Yeah. It's like if you're standing like this, it kind of leans toward malt, but it doesn't skimp on the hops. And you'll see this in the next issue of the magazine. I almost said episode again. You see this next issue of the magazine is that they're very hoppy kind of guys. They like their hops. And when we talk about the IPW in a little bit, you'll, not to spoil your tasting, but it's a much more hop forward beer. This definitely is a leans toward the malt, but has the hops in it. I want to hear more what you have to say about it, though, because like I said, you've never had this, never had any taste of this before. More, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, there's really just, like you said, there's a nice balance, and it's very, very good.
Like I said, this is like the ideal craft tailgate beer.
Yeah.
That's like what I've I was working on some stuff like last week, and we were just kind of hanging out, and like if you're working, like if like you're moving somebody from apartment to apartment, this is the beer to buy. If you're at a tailgate, this is the beer to bring. It's very transportable too. Sometimes when you have glass kind of moving around, you could, if you stop short and your glass bottles fall on the floor of your car, they could break. These guys are pretty hardy, and I mean,
and let's face it, look at the classy label.
Oh, it's very cool cans.
It's very 1920s. I really like the labeling.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cans. The ABV on this is 5.3 for the common sense. So you could have, if you're at a tailgate and you bring 4-pack, because they sell it in 4-packs. So you bring 5 4-packs, so you have 20 beers. You could drink a 4-pack per person, and you're not going to be sloshed. You could still go watch a game or go do whatever, and be able to enjoy it because it's only 5.3. But it's in our whole experience of doing this kind of craft beer thing in upstate New York, this is quickly becoming one of my favorites because it's December and you can kind of hear the geese in the background and stuff, and it's cold, and it's great for that. Also, if we had this in June out here when it's 85 degrees, I could also drink it then. Yeah. It's really kind of an all-around good intro class beer. If you know a lot of Coors Light drinkers or Bud Light drinkers, perfect intro beer. Yeah. And also, just from the female perspective, women not necessarily big beer drinkers. What would be, if you were to speak to women right now, what would you tell them about this beer?
I would say that if you're drinking light beers, like you said, even with the men, this is a great transition. And you know what? It's a little sweeter, so I think the women are going to like it a little bit more. And it's not as harsh as, the normal IPAs with their hops that kind of hit you right in the face. It's very smooth.
Very smooth. And I mean, there's no better, she knows, man. You used to be a big wine drinker when you first, when you just got introduced to alcohol. You were drinking wine, and that's tended to be a women kind of thing. You kind of stick with that. This might be your good. Maybe you start them out on a couple of Bud Lights or Coors Lights because they're so light and pale. And maybe you want to start getting them into craft beer, and this is the way to go. I mean,
really, if any ladies are watching this, come on, Great Gatsby. Yeah.
Yeah, very Gatsby. Gatsby feel with the packaging. I didn't even think of that. Very Gatsby feeling to that. It's very cool. Very cool pint. And they come, like I said, 4-packs. They come in the 16-ounce cans. Distributing for Upstate Brewing is not as widespread as maybe your, of course, your Budweisers and your Coors and all that. Or even Saranac. They're not that as widely distributed, but they are in New York City, and they are in a lot of upstate New York. Maybe not in the eastern half of the state, but everything from basically Syracuse west and then north up to the Canada border, you can find Upstate Brewing. And I also had some of their beers on draft, and I guess it's just another whole conversation, but draft beer versus canned or bottled does make a big difference. Huge for difference. Us. Yeah. But this stuff in cans, this is great stuff.
It's great.
It's great stuff. And you can see the color on it a little bit. Here, we can even give you a little bit closer view on that. See, it's a nice amber kind of coppery kind of color, very white head on it. Doesn't hold the head all that well, but I mean, that's just, this style of beer is Kentucky Common. It's kind of a second generation, a 2.0 of a Kentucky Common kind of style, and they call it Common Sense. And if you have any common sense, you should drink it.
Definitely.
Highly recommended especially for that new craft beer drinker, to kind of give them 1 foot, maybe half a foot in that old macro world, and 3/4 or a whole foot in that new craft beer world. Very, very good stuff. And these guys have been nothing but awesome, great brewing guys. Met, I can't even remember who we met up at the Craft Beer Fest now. It was one of those guys, and they're awesome.
Super friendly.
Super friendly. The wives are involved. The kids are involved. Not drinking the beer, obviously, for the kids, but just very family operation, very mom and pop. Even though it's kind of pop and pop that make the beer, and mom kind of help. Mom and mom help on the other end. But anyway, very, very good stuff. Very good stuff. And like I said, this is Sarah Condon's first taste test of this, and she's more of a hophead. So
I like this. This is great.
So cheers to everybody out there. Cheers, Miss Condon.
Cheers.
And thanks, guys, for the beer. Thanks a lot. It's didn't go to waste at all.
No.
We've enjoyed every drop of this stuff.
I can go in. I'm freezing.